I want you to take a look at something.
Welcome to ScreenCrush, I'm Ryan Airy, and this is all of the Easter eggs, references, and little things that you might have missed in The Mandalorian Chapter 14. We can't lose the Razorcrest and Grogu in the same episode. This is brutal. Alright, let's get into the Easter eggs. For starters, Mando says,
Dinkferric.
a curse word that we keep hearing in this series.
Dinkferric. Dinkferric. Dinkferric.
Dinkferric! At the beginning of the episode, we get a scene that helps to stress how attached Din is to Grogu.
You're very special, kid. We're gonna find that place you belong, and they're gonna take real good care of you.
So later, it's an even bigger gut punch when they take him away. This planet Tython was first mentioned in the book Darth Bane Rule of Two. That was an important place for the Jedi Order, they're a precursor to the Jedi. But its first appearance in the new continuity was in the Dr. Aphra comic book, when she tricked Darth Vader into coming here to incapacitate him. They discover a structure that may remind you of Stonehenge. But there are actually many stone circles like this all over Europe. It's theorized these existed to conduct spiritual rituals. In mythology, characters often visit circles like this one to commune with the gods or oracles. Since this is the ruins of an ancient Jedi temple, it makes sense that it would be a primitive-looking structure. Think of the first Jedi temple in Act 2. It was also very Spartan, like a monastery. And that temple also had a rock that Luke and Rey used to reach out to the Force.
And between it all,
balance and energy. A force.
So I'm wondering if this was also a Seeing Stone, and this connection it gives to the Force is what made it possible for Luke to send a Force projection across the galaxy.
see your road, kid.
When the Seeing Stone activates, it's circled with Jedi runes that first appeared in the Old Republic video game, based off Ralph McQuarrie's original Yavin Temple designs for A New Hope, but are now canon from Star Wars Rebels and Jedi Fallen Order. Round structures are favored by the Jedi, as seen on Act 2, the Jedi Council Chamber, and the Temple on Lothal. Now there is an actual alphabet to translate these runes, but I wasn't able to read enough letters to clearly decipher it. But there is like a J in there somewhere, I'm pretty sure. And then Boba Fett arrives in his iconic ship, Slave One. He arrives with Fennec Shand, Ming Na Wen's bounty hunter character from Chapter 5.
You want to be a bounty hunter? Make the best deal for yourself and survive.
True story, one time she liked one of my tweets, and I never washed my Twitter again. Now we know she was rescued by Boba Fett at the end of the episode. Her cybernetic bits seem very similar to the tech that was inside of Luke's hand. Either way, cyborgs are nothing new in Star Wars. Now, I know some of you watching might be casual Star Wars fans, like my family. Hi everyone. So you might be wondering why Boba Fett looks like a clone trooper. So just a little recap about Boba Fett's backstory. About 30 years before this, there was a bounty hunter named Jango Fett who served as the genetic model for the clone army of the Republic. In return, the cloners gave him a clone to raise as his son, who he called Boba Fett, which sounds like an awesome, heartwarming 80s sitcom. But instead, Jango Fett died in the first Battle of Geonosis. Boba took over his dad's armor and ship. He was a child bounty hunter for a while until he paid his guild dues and became the most feared bounty hunter in the galaxy.
No disintegration.
Until Han Solo accidentally triggered his jetpack, sending him into the belly of a Sarlacc where
you are slowly digested over 1,000 years.
Now clearly the Sarlacc wasn't able to digest Beskar, or Fett just fought his way out, like how Mando Jonah'd his way out of the Crate Dragon in Chapter 9. I'm not sure yet if these scars are from his life as a bounty hunter, or were a gift from the Sarlacc. Now notice he's using a Tusken Cycler rifle and a Gaffy stick. These are the weapons of the Sand People. So after he escapes the Sarlacc, it's likely that the Jawas stole his armor, but the Sand People nursed him back to health. And how badass was it seeing him go to work with that Gaffy stick? It just reinforces how worthless Stormtrooper armor is. Twitter user Mike Alexander also pointed out that we see him use his knee darts for the first time, which were first shown in the Star Wars Visual Dictionary. It's also nice to see Boba Fett actually be a badass, since he went out like a punk in Jedi. Now this is actually not Temuera Morrison's first time playing Boba Fett. In the original trilogy, the character was played by Jeremy Bulloch, but in the 2004 editions of the movies, George Lucas replaced his voice with Morrison's.
Put Captain Solo in the cargo hold.
And this line,
I'm a simple man making his way through the galaxy.
was an echo of his dad's in Attack of the Clones.
I'm just a simple man trying to make my way in the universe.
Twitter user The F Director pointed out that this line,
Like my father before me.
is also an echo of this.
I am a Jedi. like my father before me.
Now, there's actually been some argument about whether or not Jango Fett is a real Mandalorian. The Jango Fett comic said that he grew up in Mandalorian space, then fought in the Mandalorian Civil War, and then was given the armor. But that comic was made non-canon when Disney bought Lucasfilm. Then, in the Clone Wars, Prime Minister Almec of Mandalore said,
Jango Fett was a common bounty hunter. How he acquired that armor is beyond me.
And now, finally, Jango has been legitimized as a full Mandalorian, and we can lay all those comments to rest.
He even fought in the Mandalorian Civil Wars.
And by the way, the Mandalorian Civil War he's referring to happens before The Phantom Menace. See, during that time, Obi-Wan and Qui-Gon were stationed on Mandalore to protect its heir, Duchess Satine, during which time Obi-Wan and her fell in love. The losers of the war were exiled to the moon Concordia and became the group Death Watch, which would later evolve into the Children of the Watch, Din Djarin sect of Mandalorians.
This is the way.
This is the way.
See, it's interesting to see him slowly broaden his horizons this season. See, last season, he had to overcome his prejudice against droids. This season, he learns from Bo-Katan that not all Mandalorians are the same as him.
Children of the Watch are a cult of religious zealots that broke away from Mandalorian society.
So really, the larger arc of this show is Din Djarin slowly gets woke. He says,
Your father was a foundling.
Yes.
remember, Din was a foundling, and his soft spot for orphans is what endeared him to the child to begin with.
The foundlings are the future. This is the way.
This is the way.
Boba even shows off his family tree, which, guys, look, I tried really hard to translate. This alphabet is Mandoa, which we first saw in the Slave One cockpit in Attack of the Clones. There's even a forum dedicated just to this. But these letters don't seem to make any sense. I tried them every which way, and I can't find a pattern. Sorry, I tried. But, like he said,
My chain code has been encoded in this armor for 25 years.
and by the way, a chain code is like an ID. It's also how these tracking fobs work. Then the stormtroopers invade using a ship similar to the First Order's Landycraft. Now, note that this one has an orange pauldron, indicating that he's the unit leader and the one that you should kill first. They also deploy an E-Web heavy blaster that we first saw in The Empire Strikes Back, and then again in Chapter 8 last season. See, last episode featured a space samurai and was filled with Kurosawa references. This episode has Mando visiting ancient ruins and contains this nod to the Raiders of the Lost Ark. And when Grogu took a nap, I thought, aw, this won't go well. And then Boba Fett returns for real in armor, rocking a dad bod. But you know what? If I wore some of my clothes from the 80s, my gut would be hanging out too. Then Moff Gideon deploys the Dark Troopers, which first appeared in the video game Dark Forces, but have been in several games since then, including Battlefront. These are droids that were built to be the next generation of Stormtroopers, which is ironic because Stormtroopers were essentially a replacement for the droid armies, and now that wheel has just circled back around again.
Again, it's like poetry, so if they rhyme.
This whole sequence seems inspired by Frodo getting knifed at Round Top in Fellowship of the Ring. Boba Fett says,
This isn't a spice dream.
which is a reference to the drug spice mined on Kessel,
Be sent to the spice mines of Kessel or smashed into who knows what.
a reference to Frank Herbert's Dune, as is the last name of Marshal, Cara Dune. This episode is directed by Robert Rodriguez, one of his generation's finest action directors. Rodriguez was an early advocate of digital green screen filmmaking, so I'm sure he fit right into the production of The Mandalorian and its use of the volume. I'm really hoping this means that he's being groomed to direct a Star Wars film. Chances are it would feature this actor, who's appeared in every single Robert Rodriguez film. This is your mom. Mando returns to Navarro, where Cara Dune is now wearing the 10 Star of the Republic, and he recruits her help. Now this season is following a similar pattern to what we saw last year. Mando has a string of unrelated adventures, then everyone gets together for a team-up for the finale. I hope. It would be awesome to see Ahsoka Tano fight beside Cobb Vanth. So she scrolls through the profiles of several criminals on an old-school SD monitor, appropriate since this era of Star Wars is based off 1980s technology. Now all this lettering is in Arabesh, the official Star Wars alphabet, and guess what? I translated all of them, at least the stuff that I could actually make out. So here we go. Tons of Easter eggs and future Wikipedia entries are coming your way. These guys are Skirdo Tobbs, Torbil Danzin, Nylock's Cabin Robes, and I could be wrong, but this guy looks a lot like episode director Robert Rodriguez. This guy is Predis Rulado. This is Gap Grandozito. You may remember his species from Chapter 9 and from this character, Scrapjaw Motito in The Force Awakens. Then there's Buren Redman, Avrat Kafundi, and this Nikto is Mdwello. This Moncala is named Gosla Fulal. This Zabrak, the same species as Darth Maul, is named Theen Cross. This Quarren is Yathanidi. Ratman here is Sart Jalas. The Aqualish is Ingatoba, a very similar name to Ponda Baba. This Mame chap from A New Hope. This is Sethro Darl, and this final Aqualish is Bourbon Tods. Yep, Bourbon Tods. Now then, for this next batch, I could actually read the bottom text. This Tusken is Torvald Danzin, and he's in for kidnapping a senator, and he's serving at the Sunspot prison. This prison appeared in the comics as a penitentiary where the Alliance kept Imperial prisoners. Cardo Deeves is in for assault of a New Republic officer. The Gamorrean Chargut Low is in for aggravated assault, doing his stretch at Sharon 4. And finally, Bill Burr's character from Chapter 6, Miggs Mayfeld. He's currently at the Charthon Chop Fields, doing a bit for facilitating the escape of a prisoner and accessory to the death of a New Republic officer, crimes he committed last season. Moff Gideon's ship is an Arquiton's light cruiser, the model we first saw in Star Wars Rebels. Now, I don't know if I mentioned this in any video before, but his chest plate is modeled after Darth Vader's. After watching Grogu toy with some cannon fodder, they used the stun setting on him that we first saw used against Leia in A New Hope.
I was banging these guys around with my mind, and then I got sleepy.
He shows Grogu the darksaber. Now, we went into more detail about this in our History of Mandalore video, check that out if you have time, but in summary, this was owned by a Mandalorian Jedi, and now it's become a symbol of the ruler of Mandalore. Bo-Katan yielded it while ruling the planet, and now she's trying to take it back from Moff Gideon.
Where is it?
Bruce, what?
The darksaber.
Also, this thing is a cool practical effect.
Put it in shackles.
Now, it looks to me like the manacles that are holding Grogu create ray shields to limit a Force user's ability to move. Dooku held Obi-Wan with something similar in Attack of the Clones. And when he said,
You're not ready to play with such things.
I laughed out loud because in Attack of the Clones, we see basically 4-year-olds using very dangerous lightsabers right next to each other. Well, that's all the Easter eggs I found, but if you found any, let me know in the comments below or at me on Twitter. And if it's your first time here, please subscribe. For ScreenCrush, I am Ryan Airy.